everybody. I'm Dr. Cindy with the Positively Altered podcast. I am a chiropractic internist and nutritionist. And on the podcast, we discuss all things health related, sometimes mental, sometimes emotional, sometimes physical, with any sort of spin we feel like, and absolutely no filter. Today is no exception. We have a fabulous guest, and we are going to talk all things minerals, little calcium, little magnesium, little potassium, maybe some surprises. You do not want to miss this episode. So we're going to take a quick break and listen to our sponsors. We are going to be right back and talk about mineral balancing.
Hello, my name is Heather Lord, and I am the COO of Professional Health Products. Cutting corners is an all too common practice in the dietary supplement industry. When my father founded Professional Health Products, he sourced the cleanest, most biologically active ingredients from around the globe. Today, that commitment remains, which is why the finest healthcare practitioners, like Dr. Cindy, have trusted us for more than 40 years. We oversee the entire process in our manufacturing facility, from sourcing and formulation to manufacturing and labeling. Today, we offer over 300 unique products that can be tailored to the nutritional and homeopathic needs of each individual. Most recently, we launched a proprietary genetic test, allowing our practitioners to get even more dialed in to their patients' health. To learn more about Professional Health Products, please talk to your practitioner or visit our website at phpltd.com.
Today, your life is going to be altered. I'm Dr. Cindy.
Welcome to Infinity. We have worked hard to create an electronic claims website that is simple and user-friendly. This is the public side. You can log into your personal web portal here. This is your dashboard. You can personalize it to your liking here. Our main focus has been to allow you to submit and edit claims as easy as possible. You will find our claims editor and claims processing is simple to use and straightforward. Our quick action bar is where you can find your most important information. Most of these icons will take you directly to the claims the number represents. You can easily view if you have any messages in your inbox of any unread alerts by looking for these blue numbers. To view the rest of our training videos to get the most of your Infinity experience, click this icon. We hope you find this web portal simple and easy to use. Thanks for letting us serve you.
I'm Dr. Cindy. Who wouldn't want to join me for the Positively Altered podcast? Welcome back from our commercial break. Those people that sponsor us are really important, so I'm glad you hung tight to take a listen. And even better, we have an amazing guest today on the Positively Altered podcast, Sophie Shepherd. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, this is so great. So we've recorded a couple podcasts today for everybody out there listening. Sometimes we do these ahead of time, and we've officially made it Positively Altered Hat Day. So Sophie, if you're not watching us, if you don't see the video and you're listening, she's rocking the Positively Altered hat. She's got the black with the hot pink, and I'm sporting the pink. And I love this sister look. It's really fun. So thank you for playing along and making it Hat Day.
I love it. It's super fun.
Oh my gosh, so cool. So I want to jump right into your story, right? Because in this space of health and wellness, I find that not everybody, but most people have a reason or a story that led them to what they're doing. And you've got a great one.
It's a banger.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm going to just sit intently and soak it in.
Okay, so check this out. I'm almost 36. 20 years ago, right around when I turned 16, I had my first colonoscopy, which is something you shouldn't be doing until you're in your 50s, 60s. So they went up my butt and down my throat to figure out what was going on with my gut, because I was at the point where not only did I have reflux, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, everything, you name it, I had it. I was at the point where I was having pain drinking water. So this is obviously a problem. I didn't even realize it was that big of a problem until my mom and my boyfriend at the time said, this is not normal. We don't have pain when we drink water. So I got this test. I got the diagnosis of IBS. I'm using air quotes because if you remove the I, it's kind of like a BS diagnosis. It's not really something that's super tangible or that you can do a whole lot with. I was kind of sent on my way, told this is just the way it's going to be. Take an antacid for the rest of your life. See you later. So there I was, high school, college, the girl who had like the embarrassing smelly gas and like had to run to the bathroom 7 times a day. And it was really hard on my self-esteem. It was not a great place. So fast forward to age 22, I just graduated college. I was living in New York City. I was dating this man who was really a narcissist and an emotionally abusive person. I didn't know like what that even meant. I just knew that it wasn't good for me. And I started to develop really deep depression and deep anxieties. They had been there before, but they just kind of escalated. My hair started to fall out. I gained 30 pounds. I was so tired. Even after sleeping 8 to 12 hours, I literally could not go to work. It completely crumbled my life. Like I was working in theater. I couldn't, keep up with that lifestyle. It was devastating. And I was 22. So why did I feel like I was 80 years old? So I went to the doctor. She told me I was just depressed and that I should just take an antidepressant. I essentially begged her to run some labs. And I feel I got lucky that my thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, was actually elevated enough for her to medicate me with Synthroid. Now that means I got a diagnosis of hypothyroidism and I was given this medication. And I remember jumping up and down for joy because I had a diagnosis. I didn't make it up. It's not in my head. Oh my gosh, yay. And 6 months later, I'm back in her office with the same symptoms coming back, thinking I just need an adjustment in my meds. She looked at my labs. She said, "I'm sorry, your labs are optimal. They're normal, actually, is what she said. And there's nothing more that I can do for you." So now I am like, this is unacceptable. I fired her. And it's the first time I fired a doctor, and I've done it more since then. And I went on to find a functional medicine doctor, way before it was trendy to have a functional medicine doctor. And he really explained to me what was going on. I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is the autoimmune disease that causes hypothyroidism most of the time. And we got to the actual root, which for me, and we'll talk about this more, was toxins and trauma. And I started to heal. And within 2 weeks, I started to feel better. Within 3 months, every symptom reversed. And then a few years later, I realized that there were millions of women just like me that really needed my help. And here I am, 8 years into the business, helping over 200 women so far with their health and wellness.
Sophie, it's a great story. So I want to tell you, we share more in common than the hats that we're wearing.
Oh.
So at 16, I had something up my butt as well. I experienced my first colonoscopy, and I've got 20 years on you. So my diagnosis wasn't IBS. It was spastic colon. That's what we called it back in the day.
Oh,
spastic.
boy.
So I was spastic, which, is sort of a derogatory term. So, that was the official. And you know what they told me to do? Stop eating spicy foods.
That's what they told me. Chocolate, spicy. Ugh.
Which is great when you're still in the bathroom with diarrhea for 4 hours while there's a line waiting for you, right? To come out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're like, you might want to plug your nose when you come in,
yeah.
right? Because so I'm with you. And we've come a long way, right? We've come a very long way. And I love that you took the I out of the IBS. I've never actually heard anybody say it that way. I love.
I started on my podcast and I can't stop saying it now.
I love it. I mean, I think most diagnoses are bullshit, right? Because at the end of the day, it really comes down to what got you to the diagnosis. The label's irrelevant. It's the root cause, right?
I agree with you so much, Dr. Cindy. Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's do this. You talk about 2 root causes being toxins and traumas, right? What does that mean? Toxins and traumas? Because that sounds very, scary a little bit, right? To some people thinking, oh my God, like I'm toxic and I've been under trauma. So how do we rip back the layers of the onions of that to figure out where we go?
Yeah, I think it is good to break it down. I started to kind of solidify that into the 2 T's, the toxins and traumas, last year, because I found that people now are, with the age of TikTok and YouTube and all this information gathering, people are really spinning out. They're like, oh my gosh, I have to do heavy metals and parasites. And I don't know, oh my gosh, what do I do? Like, there's a lot. And so I try to put it into 2 simple buckets so that people can kind of wrap their head around it. What I've experienced is that most people who come to me who are, and I'll just describe this person so that maybe someone can relate, like usually dealing with extra weight, inflamed, maybe some joint pain, some brain fog, memory recall issues. Maybe they have menstrual cycle irregularities or fertility issues. They almost always have hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's, their hair's falling out, different stuff like that, digestive issues. They are usually dealing with basically being undernourished and overly stressed. And the stress bucket, the way I was trained as an FDN, doesn't just include, mental stress or emotional stress, but also chemical stress, like, what's in our environment, or, maybe there's a gut pathogen or some mold pathogens, but also that emotional stress. So that's why I really put that down into toxins and trauma, because we know that the body needs certain things to function. And some things that take away is really that stress bucket. And so I put the two T's in there as those two things that pull it away. So when I think about toxins, I think about, mold in the environment. What are we using for personal care? What about any sort of pathogens that are going on in the gut? Is there a fungal overgrowth? Is there a bacterial overgrowth? Is there a parasitic overgrowth? And then, there's others like glyphosate, for example. It's a big part of my story, actually, is the glyphosate. So that's the herbicide. So can we basically clean up our air? Can we clean up our food? And can we clean up our water? Because that's really where we get exposed. Some people need to do a detox. We can talk about how to properly do that. And then the other part of it is like, it doesn't have to be big T trauma, like, an abuse, like I had gone through, but it could be just long chronic stress of overworking, perfectionism, people pleasing. I see that a lot with our super women that are trying to conquer the world in 2025, right? So there can just be this chronic stress overload that really topples the body. So really supporting someone and getting resources to balance that stress in whatever way that comes. I have a lot of resources on that. I like trained for 2 years in mindset and emotional health as well, because I think it's just so important. So that's what I mean by toxins and trauma.
It's great. So I think the toxins, and this may or may not be fair for me to say, but I think that the toxins are a little easier to wrap your head around, right? Like, I've had exposure, it's in my body, it's a problem. Let's talk a little bit about the emotional trauma, right? And how did you recognize that that's exactly what you were experiencing? And then what helped you to deal with that and move through that experience of the emotional trauma to become healthy?
It's a really great question. And I'll be really honest. It wasn't like, oh, I have trauma, I'm going to do this one thing, I'm healed. It was, I was in this relationship. I didn't understand that this relationship was something that was toxic because I was so young. I hadn't experienced that. Only after I got out of it, I realized what had gone on. And I much later started to realize the world of the subconscious, which is the part of it's like 90% of our brain. So we have our conscious brain and our subconscious, and the subconscious makes a lot of our meaning out of things. So there can be events that happen, right? There was like the event of being yelled at, for example, many, many times by this person, but it's also what I made it to mean about me. I made it to mean that I needed to be smaller, to shrink my voice, which is interesting, right? Because I got the Hashimoto's diagnosis in that relationship. Your thyroid's right in your throat. So, there were a lot of layers of like people pleasing and trying to like make sure he was taken care of and all of these things, and kind of shrinking myself in the process. So I had to uncover those things first. And that was through a process that I call subconscious reprogramming, or NLP, where I really worked on, okay, what are the things in my life that I don't really love the way I'm showing up, and why are they there? And most of them came back to this relationship. So then I went through a process of kind of rewiring my brain and like thoughts around myself and releasing that trauma somatically, which is meaning through the body, mentally and emotionally, and no longer deciding to keep those stuck emotions and limiting beliefs about myself that I had to be perfect or I had to be small. And it's a process, but there's a lot of techniques that I use, and my assistant coach and I use with clients on that now, because it's you don't have to go through like an abusive relationship to have those thoughts about yourself. And so that's kind of what I went through. And it was a process. There were layers like an onion to go through there for sure.
Yeah. It's interesting when you said the words, how you showed up. I think that was, it gets my thought process thinking, right? Like, okay, how do I show up? Because I think we live in this society where it's really easy to look at everybody else, right? And assess blame and project. And it's really hard to look at our own crap, right? Or our own life, or how we show up. And maybe that's a really great challenge for people, is to ask that question every day, is how did I show up? And are you happy with the way you showed up? Does it feel good, or does it feel painful, or to your point, small?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's a great question to ask. I love that. How did I show up? Was I proud of how I showed up? Is there something in how I showed up that I'm maybe not super happy with, right? Like, for example, I'll just use a really, really simple that everyone can relate to. You're married, you get into a tiff with your partner. Okay, whose fault is that, right? Probably we'd be like, it's his fault, it's her fault, la, 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 blame, blame, blame. But the thing is that it takes two to tango, right? So usually, right? Obviously, if we're in an abusive situation, that's different. But why am I showing up and getting into an argument? Is it because my needs aren't being met? Am I not being seen? Have I not done enough for myself yet? We create the reality that we want. So if we are in a reality that isn't what we want, we get to ask ourselves, how can this be different? How can I be different? Maybe you can't. Maybe this person is not for you and it's a bad relationship, or it's a, not a good job fit, but maybe there's something different that we can shift in ourselves. It's just good to ask and get curious.
So in your opinion, what do you think keeps us in those relationships, whether it's with food or product or lifestyle or job or people? Why do we get stuck?
Our brain loves patterns and it likes what we know. So if we recognize something, we will typically go towards it because it's actually literally easier for our brain to do that than make a new decision. So it's kind of like when I have clients go gluten-free because they have Hashimoto's, and that can be a really helpful tool for anyone listening. And they've always gone to the grocery store and they've always gotten the glutinous bread. And now they have to go to a different part of the grocery store and then they have to read the labels and their brain goes, oh no, this is going to take me forever, right? And it takes them an extra 15 minutes and then they're frustrated and they're like, this is so hard because they've never done it before. So it's the same in anything, in relationship to yourself, to a partner, to work, to food, to health. That is why, honestly, I think that's why coaching and being a functional health coach versus a functional medicine doctor, no disrespect, but as a coach, I'm there to help them actually implement the changes, because otherwise information is just information and it's not transformation. And we need help. I need help. I need a coach. I need support to make the changes, right? We all need that, because otherwise our brain will just go back to what it already knows.
Right. And the adherence is such an important part to healing, right? Because again, we can read all the books and be told all the information, but if we don't incorporate it into change,
then yeah.
Yeah, we don't see it. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's go down. You mentioned detoxing, and I think, that word is such a big buzzword. And, everybody on TikTok has the best detox on the planet. So you know what? Not only is this hat day theme, but it's rolling your eye day theme. It's funny. I ask these questions of people, and again, for those of you that listen and don't watch, the facial expressions on this show are priceless. So, Sophie, you obviously express what you're thinking internally. I do the same thing. So I have a huge admiration for that. But let's talk about the eye rolling with detox, right? Because there's really a great, probably proper way to approach that topic. But what I don't want to see people doing out there is, right, I read this detox in the book and saw it on TikTok, so I wrote the check for the $100 and I'm just doing it whether I need it or not. What is your take on that word and maybe the proper way to assess if you need one or not?
My method, the Thriving Thyroid method, which can be used for people who don't have thyroid issues, just have health issues in general, is 2 steps: nourish and release. And so I really believe, and this is after working with many people and doing all the detoxes, that before we do a quote unquote detox, we need to nourish our body properly. And that is because we go after the parasite, we go after the heavy metal, we go after the mold, whatever it is you're going after, and we don't have the body prepared and supported, you're not going to have a good experience most of the time, and you're going to have to repeat it. So that's my personal, I don't know, get on the megaphone, please hear me. And so that's one part of it. And so, I think, maybe I should back up to what is a detox? I think detoxification, first of all, is happening all the time, 24/7. If we weren't detoxing, we'd be dead. So sorry, I kind of have no filter today, but that's the truth. So
it is true.
Right? If your liver and your kidneys weren't filtering toxins and doing their job, you would be in the hospital. right? That's a very, very serious thing. So I do talk about detox, but I'm talking about like kind of upregulating or supporting detoxification organs, right? So supporting the liver, supporting the lymph, supporting the kidneys, supporting your skin. Even your lungs can be a way to detox, right? Breathing properly. And so we're always detoxing, and we can come in contact with toxins that can kind of make it sluggish and harder for us to move those toxins out. And there are detoxification agents, meaning enzymes, antioxidants, binders, antifungals, different things that we can incorporate in a specific order to help someone rid themselves, or at least, I don't know if we're at a place in this world, honestly, where we can completely get rid of toxins, but reduce the toxic load on our system. But here's the catch, going back to what I first said, is that detoxification is a nutrient dependent process. Your body needs the right minerals, vitamins, and cofactors to safely move toxins out. Most people are trying to detox from a body that's depleted. So they don't have enough magnesium. They don't have enough potassium, sodium, B vitamins, which is essential for things like liver function, bile flow, cellular energy. And so when these nutrients are off, and then we try to go take a really strong anti-parasitic, people feel terrible, or they're constipated, right? Like going back to our stories with the gut. You're constipated and you try to clear a parasite, good luck, sister. It's going to not be a fun experience, right? So we have to open up the detox pathways too. Make sure that you're getting enough hydration, make sure you're pooping, that the lymph is flowing, those types of things first. So there's a lot in there. I think it's really important to support detoxification, but I look at it more as like a lifestyle change as well. I think sometimes there's a season also for maybe you to go a little bit deeper into like if we find a parasite or if we find mold, I'm going through mold right now and I'm definitely on a detox protocol, but you best believe I am on my nutrients. I am nourishing my body. I'm not just taking these like antifungal mold products without that, because I just know better than that now. So I hope that people hear that and don't just buy something randomly off the internet without support.
Right. No, I agree. Don't buy anything randomly off the internet, no matter what. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's the banner for today's program, right? Don't randomly purchase things on the internet. Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about your mineral balancing method. What does that mean to you?
Oh, I love it. Mineral balancing method. So the mineral balancing method is using minerals to restore function in the body. Sounds simple enough. It's a lot more complicated under the hood, but mineral balancing is all about restoring the body's natural nutrient levels so it can function optimally. Minerals are like the spark plugs of all life. They regulate everything from our energy, our mood, our hormones, our digestion, our sleep, to even our ability to handle stress. So when those minerals are depleted or imbalanced, our body starts to send us symptoms, which are just communications, by the way. Symptoms are just communication from our body. Things like fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, weight gain, and even hormone issues like hypothyroidism, irregular cycles. So when you use the mineral balancing method, you are using a test called the hair tissue mineral analysis, HTMA. It's a simple at-home test, lets us know what's going on inside of your cells. It's a 3-month cumulative look at your minerals, magnesium, potassium, sodium, zinc, all of these nutrients that turn on and off function in the body. And then from there, we customize a plan to help your body remineralize and gently detox if needed, because just by adding in those nutrients, you are technically upregulating detoxification and it rebuilds your resiliency. So I think I'll leave it there for now.
What is the most common mineral deficiency you see?
Low potassium.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost, I would say 8 or 9 times out of 10, it's low potassium.
So what is the difference? Explain to everybody when you talk about looking at it at a cellular level, right? Versus the potassium that we typically get run at a serum level. What is the difference? Because the reason I guess I responded that way is, normally we'll run what's called a comprehensive metabolic panel. We see a potassium level. It's within range. That doesn't mean intracellularly we're getting the right nutrients, right? So do you see a lot of difference that way where people are surprised that it's potassium?
I do. Yeah, I do. And I love getting like a CBC, a CMP, full thyroid, full iron. I love getting blood work with an HTMA because there are some nutrients that are better and some markers that are just better in blood work. They just straight up are. But yeah, if you have a mineral like potassium, It's really important to get both, honestly, if you can get both, because we want to make sure, for example, that we don't have too much potassium, right, in the blood work. But, minerals are a lot of times better looked at in hair, in tissue sample versus in the blood, in the serum. And that's just because that's, they're looking better in those views, but some aren't, like iron is better in blood. So when we look at it, we want to look at it objectively of what the data actually tells us and make sure we're like putting that together with the person as well. What I have found in mineral balancing and with HTMA is that potassium is the fastest mineral to get depleted by stress. Mm-hmm. So if we go back to toxins and trauma, those building into our stress bucket, they deplete at that tissue level first. It's pretty rare for me to see it be really low in blood. And at the same time, someone have to be really, really depleted. But the thing that's interesting to me is that, a lot of times we're looking at blood work, and I'm sure you've probably seen this or, in your medical history, when someone might be looking at it from a more of a diagnostic, like, okay, we're looking at kidney function or adrenal function or whatever it is that you're looking at for a diagnosis. For me, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not looking at diagnosis. I'm looking at optimization, right? And so when I see someone's potassium is tanked and they're also depressed and they're having muscle spasms and they're having heart palpitations and they're having anxiety and they have fatigue, guess what? We're going to work on that potassium, right? Because we want to get you optimized. So it's a little bit of a different lens as well, looking at it from an optimization perspective versus a diagnostic perspective.
I love it. What are your favorite foods to get potassium?
I love coconut water. Fun fact about me, at any given time, you will probably see 2 to 5 empty coconut water bottles rolling around in my car or in my bag. I get them at Costco. And so that's one of the easiest ways. I love, there's a potassium cocktail that I have. I can send to you guys. And that's really fun because it's a fun drink that you get to have. But food, eating, chewing, white potato, y'all. Don't be afraid. Don't hate on the potatoes. White potatoes, huge for potassium. I've seen people really move the needle with having a little bit of white potato. Obviously, we want to be mindful about all our macronutrients, not go too ham on the starch. But yeah, it's white potatoes great. Dates are great. Squash is great. Bananas, avocado. But we need 4,700 milligrams of potassium in a day. That's RDI. That's not even what we probably actually need. That's hard. If you really try to do that, you'd be like, oh, I have potassium. I eat a banana. No, it's 400. So we need 4,700.
Wow. So yeah, we don't think about that, right? We don't think about that. Give me your take. I'm curious, I have a lot of patients too that walk in and they're like, oh, well, I'm taking electrolytes every day and I love to, put them in my water. And I don't know, sometimes that, I ask, well, why are you taking the electrolytes? Where's the need? What is your take on just somebody who's picking up electrolytes and using them daily?
I just always think test, don't guess, always. I mean, that's, as an FDN, that's been drilled into my head for years. I have had people who that really works, well for them for a starting place, but I really, really want people to test. Because, you just want to be mindful. You could have high blood pressure, you might not need certain, or you might be, I know Element is a really popular brand. They've been great for people with low sodium, but if you look at that, for example, it has a lot more sodium than it has potassium. Now, sodium is also one of the number one low minerals, actually, which is really surprising for most people when they hear that. Mm-hmm. So it could be great for you, but we also want to think about minerals in relationship to each other. When you're taking these electrolyte drinks, first of all, they have a ton of fillers. And secondly, what is the ratio that your body needs? Do you need all the sodium or do you need the potassium or do you need both? And in what ratio? Because, otherwise we can really cause some more imbalances. Same deal with multivitamins, prenatals. I'm sorry, but red flag alert. No, minerals work together and against each other in very specific ways. And we do not want to just take something randomly without knowing what we need.
Right. No, I definitely, I agree with you for sure. And I think sodium got a bum rap, right? Because it was always, well, you can't have sodium because it elevates your blood pressure. And we now know that's not necessarily accurate. So I think over the years, it just, it was like became this evil. And what people forget is we've got this whole sodium potassium pump, right? Regulates the cell. Yes, there's balance between the inner and the outer side of the cell. And I'm bringing you back to the science class that you thought you'd never use, when you were an adult, right? That we use every single day because we all have cells. And it's so important. And we just neglect to think on that microscopic level how important that balance is. What are, for people who do take minerals, give us like the minerals you should be taking together, the minerals you should avoid taking at the same time. What are some of the rules that way?
So one that's really interesting is that zinc lowers sodium. So if I get an HTMA and someone's sodium's on the floor, we want it at 24. And a lot of times it's usually below 24, but like I just saw one yesterday, and the woman is going through a mold program. She came to me from the UK. I'm not doing her mold support. Someone else is doing that. She'd already started on that. And it's a good example, right? So she's doing this heavy detox. Her sodium's a 2.
Oh.
It needs to be 24. So she also needs zinc because she has too much copper. So she's copper toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Her copper was like a 13 or something like that. And it should be like a 2 on that test. I want to give her zinc, but zinc squashes sodium. And I know that she needs to get that sodium up first. So I'm going to give her some manganese to support that right now. And some other things, and kind of probably have her do zinc rich food. So that's one example. One that's really, really important. We need boron and vitamin B6 for magnesium absorption. I don't know how I want to scream that so loud. People coming in, they're taking like 1,000 milligrams of magnesium. Their magnesium's on the floor. They don't know why it's so low because they don't have the cofactors. So they either have synergists or antagonists. There's tons. Magnesium, vitamin K2, boron all help calcium stay in regulation and actually get it in to the bones and the teeth. So I see this all the time. People have calcium shells. What is that? It's when calcium's over 170. It's meaning the calcium's like free floating. It's not in the bones and teeth.
Mm-hmm.
We need vitamin A, vitamin K2. We need magnesium. We need boron to help regulate that calcium. And it's a really interesting thing because going back to trauma and stress, when people are really stressed and they don't know how to manage that, they don't have that tool, that calcium will go up, and it'll result in this calcium to potassium ratio that's off. That's the thyroid ratio. So now the thyroid hormone can't get into the cell because of what you just said about the sodium potassium pump. So we need to think about these things less about, I just need calcium, and what are the other things that we need, right? And so I see this all the time. And then when we get that balance, they lose the weight, they have the energy, the brain fog goes away, right? Because their calcium gets into the bones and teeth. It's a sharp mineral. It's a hard mineral. We don't want that in other places. We need it in the right spots. So yes. It's complicated, but those are some examples if that helps.
No, they're right. And I think, the take home message here really is for everybody is, to your point, don't guess, like run the test, because if you need it, you need it. If you don't, you don't. And the balance is equally important. So, we can read in Prevention Magazine that this mineral is good for us, but if it's out of whack in terms of relationships and ratio, we may be doing more harm than good, even if we supplement.
Absolutely. It's like same thing, something like vitamin D,
Right. What's your favorite mineral, Sophie?
Magnesium.
Oh, mine too. See, we do have a lot in common.
Yeah.
That's IBS and magnesium.
That's right. Perfect. Spastic and magnesium.
Absolutely. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Sophie, this has been great. We've got to take a quick commercial break and listen to a couple sponsors. We're going to be right back to do some rapid fire questions that are never rapid fire, but I can't wait to hear your answers. I'm sure they're going to be fun. Everybody hang tight. Go get some potassium. I don't know. Go into the refrigerator and see. Do you have a white potato? Actually, on other podcasts, I was craving a sweet potato, but now I think I might reach for the white potato and fill the potassium. So go get that. Don't eat it raw, right? You got to cook it.
I'll cook it. Yeah.
Okay, don't eat it raw. So you got a minute or two to cook that, and we will be right back with Sophie Shepherd. This is your weekly dose of Dr. Cindy, the Positively Altered podcast. stop, hit that follow button now and spread the love with Positively Altered. Welcome back. I am Dr. Cindy. This is the Positively Altered podcast. We are still here with Sophie Shepherd, who is joining us from Colorado, one of my favorite places. She is not sitting in the mountains, but should probably venture out after sitting inside on the podcast. We are going to do some rapid fire questions. Sophie, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, let's see what you got. What is one article of clothing you wish you never had to wear ever again?
Bra.
Okay. See, I keep laughing because I think almost every woman, that's their answer.
Oh, they're horrible.
Yeah.
And bad for our breasts, so I don't want to wear them.
Oh, listen, you're one step ahead of the rest of us, girl. It's good. It's good. Okay, if you had to live somewhere at least 100 miles away from where you currently reside, where would you go?
Costa Rica.
Nice. Have you been?
I have once when I was 17, and a lot of friends keep going back, and I think I might go for a month in the winter. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, when you're there, let's do a podcast live from Costa Rica. We'll have some outside, some tropical plants in the background. What do you think?
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, some geckos or something. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I'd love it. And then we'll dive further down this mineral conversation because I love it. I think there's so much to teach people. This is awesome. All right. If you could be a superhero or a cartoon character, who would you pick?
Superwoman? Yeah, Superwoman. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. She has cool clothes. She's hot, She gets to save the world. Her. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. What would you consider to be the best invention ever?
Oh my gosh. Electricity? Yeah. Electricity. We'll go with that. Okay. This fun is so fast.
Right? And now I bring back everybody, the one article of clothing you'll never wear is the bra, and nobody ever says that's the best invention ever.
Oh my gosh, the worst invention ever. They just constrict. Yuck.
Yeah. Is there an invention out there we haven't discovered yet that the world needs?
Oh, wow.
I'm looking for the next $1 million idea, Sophie.
Oh, I know. I think that we need, I don't know if this exists, but I think that we need some way to filter the toxins from the glyphosate. That's like a really big thing. Like an easier way, because it's in our rainwater, it's in our air, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Nobel Peace Prize for you when you figure that out.
Great. I'll just become a scientist now too on the side. Yeah.
Although I will tell you, I read an interesting article this morning talking about beta-glucans, which we use a lot in practice, and the value of that orally to bind to a lot of the plastics and the other, forever chemicals in order to help excrete them. So,
amazing.
There might be some good answers out there to lower our burden.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, humic and fulvic acid binder you can take for that type of stuff too. It's just, I feel like it would be so great if we could figure out a way for it to not be in the clouds.
Yeah.
Not in the rainwater. If there was a way to
new planet, Sophie. We need a new planet.
Yeah, I guess so. We do.
I'll just need to rocket to somewhere else in space and start over, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Dress shoes, gym shoes, or flip-flops?
No shoes.
Got to get grounded.
I'm a Colorado girl. I got to go.
I was going to say, spoken like you're from the West. Absolutely. Here in Chicago, we don't have too many good seasons where we can be barefoot. So,
well, I'm from New Jersey and New York, so it's a new adoption.
I absolutely love it. Barefoot it is. All right. And lastly, Sophie, what was your favorite thing about doing the podcast today?
How I feel right now. I feel really seen. I feel like you asked me questions that I really know how to answer, and that makes me feel good because I know it's going to resonate with a lot of people out there and hopefully change their lives.
Oh, I love it. Well, that's the whole goal. How do people find you, get a hold of you, see what you're up to?
Everything is She Talks Health. So the website, the Instagram, and the podcast are She Talks Health. I will send you guys a little freebie for a mineral mocktail that has magnesium, sodium, and potassium in it. And I also want to just offer that if anyone listening was like, oh, I really want to run that mineral analysis, I can send you guys that link too. I do offer that as a standalone thing. And so, yeah, you can just get in contact, DM me. Honestly, I love having conversations. If you've got questions, just DM me on Instagram.
Oh my gosh, it's so great. All right. So we will make sure that we get that in the show notes, the link for that test. Mm-hmm. And also, how do we do that, Sophie, for a link for your mineral mocktail? Is that something we can put in the show notes?
Yes, I will send you the link.
Excellent. We will make sure that that gets done so everybody checks it out. Please do, because this information is great. Sophie, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. If you are interested in learning more about what's going on in my world, please check me out at drscindyspeaks.com or let us know what you're thinking and shoot us an email at hello@drscindyspeaks. Pick up the book, Positively Altered, Finding Happiness at the Bottom of a Chemo Bag. You can find it on Amazon. And please make sure you like and share the podcast and spread the wealth. Share this with your friends. Let's get the word out about what Sophie is promoting and educating us on, because it's super important. Go magnesium. I think we got to add that to the hat, Sophie, like a little go magnesium on the side.
Go magnesium. Don't forget potassium.
We're going to work on that. We'll have stickers and merch and all kinds of ridiculous things that just say go magnesium. My favorite thing was really just your energy. I love meeting and having new conversations, but what radiates off of you, and it's not just the sunshine on your face, but what radiates off of you energetically has just been absolutely phenomenal for me. You feed my soul. You get me inspired to continue to do the work. And I hope that everybody out there, just like I have been, is being left positively altered.